Hey there, this is Teacher Ola Podcast, episode 66, Demonstrations and Protests. My name's Ola and I've overcome a massive language blockade myself, and now I help you do the same. I've been teaching English since 2012. If you want to eliminate your fear of speaking and boost your vocabulary, brush up your grammar, improve your pronunciation, this podcast is for you. Go to my website for full transcripts and worksheets to each episode. Happy learning! Hello my friend, welcome back. Today we're talking about vocabulary connected with demonstrations and protests. Thousands of people across our country are protesting against new abortion law. And I thought it calls for a vocabulary lesson. I want you to be able to talk about what's going on, about the current situation. This episode will give you verbs and nouns connected with protesting. First, I'll give you definitions of some verbs. 10 verbs, for example, to picket, to spark a protest, and many more. You'll learn the difference between protest and protest. Next, I'll give you 13 nouns with definitions. Among many, you'll find out how to call the cartons with captions protesters are carrying. They're sometimes made of pizza boxes. By the way, I love them. They're very creative and amusing, but also sad. The topic is sad. Then, my dear, we'll practice. I'll give you 17 sentences with protest vocabulary to listen and repeat out loud after me. Let's begin without any further ado. We're looking at the verbs first. To picket. It means to stand outside somewhere, such as your place of work, to protest about something, or to try and persuade people to join a strike. To spark a protest. To cause something to start or develop, especially suddenly. Here, a protest. To spark a protest. To stand up for and to stand up against. To stand up for means to support or defend somebody or something. To stand up against something means to actively defy, confront, or oppose someone or something. To take a stand against, to act against something, to publicly oppose and reject something or someone. Stand shoulder to shoulder, to support someone. Fight for and fight against. To fight for something means try to get something, and to fight against means to fight in opposition of someone or something. Take to the streets. It means to demonstrate. To go on strike. To stop working because of an argument over something. These were 10 verbs connected with demonstrations and protests. Now let's have a look at 13 nouns. A protest. The expression of strong dislike or opposition to something. It's a statement or an action that shows it. A protest can be held, staged, and mind the pronunciation here. The verb protest is pronounced with the schwa sound in the first syllable. Protest. The sound O occurs in the noun, which is pronounced protest. A protest. See the difference? Protest, protest. A protester, someone who protests. Demonstration, in short, we also call it demo, is a public meeting or a march or a walk at which people show that they are protesting against something or supporting something. Signs and posters. Large printed pictures or statements that people carry with them as they protest. Placards and banners are large written or printed notices which are put in a public place or just carried on a stick in a march. It's often made of cartons, like pizza boxes. A megaphone. It is a device for making your voice sound louder. It's wider at one end, like a cone. A march. A large moving protest that starts in one location and moves to another. Flyers, pieces of paper with messages written on them that are given out to inform others about the protest cause. A chant, a repeated rhythmic phrase that is shouted or sung by a crowd. A peaceful protest and a non-violent protest, a protest without violence. Okay, that's all when it comes to this part of the episode. Now, time for practice. Listen, retain, and say out loud the sentences. Stand up for your rights. Many people are taking a stand against inequalities. There have been peaceful protests in many cities. They're holding a protest. We decided to stage a protest. More than 150,000 protesters marched through Warsaw. Protesters are fighting for freedom. There were angry protests in central London. We're fighting discrimination. Stand up against racial injustice. They stand shoulder to shoulder with women. She's going on an animal rights march this Saturday. Employees are protesting against the cuts. Students protested the laws. Millions took to the streets in the largest environmental protest in history. The bill has sparked mass protests across the country. Up to 100,000 protesters are expected in the capital. Here you have it, 10 verbs and 13 nouns that you can use talking about protesting. Let's have them listed one more time. Listen and repeat. To picket. To spark a protest. To stand up for. To stand up against. To take a stand against. To stand shoulder to shoulder. To fight for. To fight against. To take to the streets. To go on strike. These were the verbs. Now listen and repeat 13 nouns related to protests. A protest. A protester. A demonstration. Signs and posters. A placard. A banner. A march. A megaphone. a flyer, a chant, a peaceful protest, a non-violent protest. Well done! Now it's time for homework. You know me, I'm a teacher. Giving homework is in my blood. I'm bleeding homework. Okay. Practice translating Polish sentences into English. The worksheet, which is your homework, is available at teacherola.com/66. It's free and up for grabs at teacherola.com/66. If you're a member of our group, Top People, you have this worksheet in your inbox. If not, subscribe. teacherola.com/newsletter. Share this episode with someone you think might need it. Next week, we're going to explain song lyrics. Have a good week. Please take care. Happy learning. Bye-bye.